Hey guys, welcome to your YouTube channel where we talk all about the GATE exam. We are studying DBMS, and just in the previous video we have understood the property of dependency preservation, how the functional dependencies are preserved and what is the meaning of preserving the dependencies, correct? In this video I'm totally going to make you practice questions for checking out whether the given decomposition is preserving all the functional dependencies or not. What all are preserved, what all are not preserved. So let's start with the very first question. One more thing, as in the previous video where I explained the property, I discussed this statement, this method of checking for the dependency to be preserved or not, or to be present or not. If at all you are coming for the first time to this video, here is the link, you can go and check that video out. Okay, if you understand the logic, it will be better to practice the questions, correct? So the very first question which we are going to solve given is, we have a relation R which have four attributes A, B, C, D. The functional dependencies given are A, B to C, D, A to C, B to D. Three FDs are there. This is a decomposed set A, C and B, D. So this is your R1 and this is your R2. Now we are going to check for each and every dependency one by one. Before I check for all, I will simply check for those which are directly present, which you can see by a blink of your eye, right? So this A to C, guys, as I told before also, determinant and dependent both are part of the relation R1, correct? So this is very much present in this relation. So this is true, it is preserved. True means it is preserved. B to D, determinant and dependent both are part of a relation. So this one is also preserved. A to C is preserved, B to D is present. Now I'm going to check for the third dependency, AB to CD. So these two are present. Okay, AB together, no. CD together, no. So directly we cannot say that it is present. So basic is go with the method, logical method. Okay, yes, you can do the F1, F2, then union of them and then their closure, all that stuff. But I have given you with the simplest logical way of checking for that, right? So for that matter, what do we have is, here the alpha or result is equal to AB initially, correct? I am applying that for each value of Ri. Okay, we just have two relations, sub-relations, not gonna take much. So the very first step, AB, and I'm going to take AB. I could take either with this or with this. So I'm going with direct manner, intersection with AC. Okay, because I have common attribute from this also, from this also. So I'm going with AB intersection AC. That gives me what? That gives me A. Now take its closure. Okay, so basically I wanted to take its closure. Okay, the very first step here. So A closure is what? From here A closure is A and C. So after AC you have got what you are supposed to do, intersection with Ri. What is your Ri? It is AC. So intersection with AC, that is nothing but then AC. Finally take its union with result, that is AB. So that gives you what? It gives you A, B, C. So after this first step, what was your result? Initially AB. Now what it has become? ABC. So what does it imply? It implies that AB can determine the value of C, correct? So basically I explain once again what the logic is. Whatever is your determinant, we are checking for the determinant what all it can determine one by one. Starting from one subrelation, we'll try to collide that with multiple subrelations, with all the subrelations, and if by the end your determinant can somehow determine the value of dependent, then you say it is preserved. Okay, so now the second step, doing this is one part of it. So now what my result have become? It has become ABC. Okay, this is step you have to recursively apply again and again, recursively apply for all the subrelations. Okay, now again my result is ABC and I'm taking next time the next relation, that is R2. So that is BD. Now what does it gives you as common? Intersection and take that closure. So what is the common attribute? It is B. Find out the B closure. What is B closure? It is BD, right? Anything else? No, it is just B and D. Okay, so this one is D. Now again take its intersection with your Ri, so that is BD, so that makes BD. Final union with whatever was your result, so that is my ABC. Now what does it give you? It gives you ABCD. So what finally what you can say? You can say ABC determines the value of D. Correct? And with that manner, what you can say? You can say that because AB determines the value of C and ABC determines the value of D, so I can directly say that AB determines the value of C and D. So this was the way of doing it. If you don't want to go with this way, here there was a logical other implication also. What was that? I wanted to check for this, and I know this is true, this is true. What I could simply do is, whatever was your dependent, take its closure from what is true. Take its closure from where? From what have been true. So what it makes? A gives C, B gives D. Correct? So that also says that yes, AB is capable to determine the value of C and D. With that simple way also you can say that yes, this is true. Okay? So this particular problem in this decomposition, the property of dependency preservation is very much true. Guys, gave you the complete full method, also give you the one small secret method. Okay? These things will be very much handy for you once you practice more and more questions. Okay, so just apply your logical brain. Just take that you are playing with a database, you have tables in front of you. Okay, consider that okay, this data is there, this attribute is there. Now how do I relate this to this? Just think logically. Alright, so we have the second question right here on the board. If you want, you can do it by your own. Okay, and then come back and look for the solution. So I'm going to solve it right here. Relation R with 4 attributes A, B, C, D, and the decomposition set is A, B, B, C and C, D. Okay. One more thing guys, for each and every question, because the decomposition set is given, FDs are given, relation is given. So don't only do the dependency preserving, do also check for the lossless join property, whether they are lossless or not. Okay. The FD set is okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 FDs are present. Check for them one by one. So one very simple way, always check direct method, okay, which are directly available. So AB says yes, this is present. B determines C, yes, it is also present. So this one is also present, right? Next, C determines the value of D. Again we can see right here it is present. Okay. Now next, A determines the value of D. Can you find any such relation which contains both determinant and dependent? No. B to D? No. I still can say with a blink of eye that they are present or not. How? You remember we understood all the inference rules, all the Armstrong axioms, right, which applies to each and every functional dependency. So all the inference rules applies right here as well as. One of the very good rule which is very popular, which makes up your transitive dependency as well, is transitivity rule or transitive rule. If you see carefully, A determines the value of B, B determines the value of C, correct? And so C determines the value of D, and ultimately A determines the value of D. Okay? Because this is true, this is true, this is true, so this is also true. So I can say that yes, A determines the value of D, and so this one is also preserved. I need not to even apply the second method, which is indirect method, which we follow from here. If you want, you can do that for your practice. With that also you're going to get the same answer. Okay, now from B to D, again with the same way, B determines C, C determines D, so we can say that yes, B determines the value of D. Okay, and so with the transitive rule, so this decomposition is dependency preserving decomposition. Question number 3, where we again have a relation R with A, B, C, D, E. The decomposition set is A, B, C and A, D, E. Okay, the next is FD set, which have 1, 2, 3, 4 FDs. Let's check for them one by one. The very first eye blinking method. Alright, yeah, so it's a good name. A determines BC. Can we check that? Yes, we can check that, and it is right here and it is present. Okay, again determinant, dependent, all the attributes are part of this sub-relation. That means this dependency is true there. CD to E, can't really say about that. B determines D, again cannot say about that. E determines A, yes, here is E, here is A. Okay, don't get confused by this order of attributes. We just have named like that. You can also call it like it is E, A, D. Doesn't make a difference. Okay, just important is determinant, dependent should be part of it. So yes, yes. So these two are again true. The first one and the second one. What about the rest? The rest we have a method, correct? So CD to E and B to D. Do you find it with the help of any of the axioms? No, I don't see it. So let's apply the method. So I am taking CD, okay, and I am following with the very first sub-relation, that is A, B, C. Take its closure. So what is a common part? C is a common part, okay. So I am taking the C closure. What is C closure? From here. From here C closure gives me C. Anything else? Do you find anything else? No. Okay, that's it. Now take its intersection from the sub-relation, that is ABC. That makes you again C. That take its union with your result, initial part, that is again CD. So it makes up nothing but then CD. Okay, so what you started with, you ended with the same. You have not derived any new attribute. That's fine. We still have hopes. Okay, so now this CD I'm going to take with the next sub-relation, that is A, D, E. Okay, now take its closure, whatever is a common attribute. What is a common attribute? D is a common attribute. So what is D closure? D closure from here, that's nothing but then D, right? That is nothing but then D only. And if it is only D, its intersection with ADE is nothing but then D. Its union with CD is nothing but then D. So that again says that CD could only reach to CD. We couldn't get any other attribute, not at all E. Correct? Correct. So with that, do you have any other decomposition? No. So with that, what do you say? CD to E is lost. Okay? The very first example for you to understand that how a functional dependency can be lost also. So right here in front of you, I'm checking for this B to D also, in which you know that B is my result. Okay, so the very first step with any of the functional dependency set, or sorry, any of the decomposition. So I take B, take intersection with ABC, because I can see that B is common. Now take its closure. So that means taking the closure of B. What is B closure from here? B determines itself. It determines the value of D. Anything else? D determines anything? No. Furthermore, nothing. So take its intersection with the set ABC. That makes up how much? That makes up only B. Correct? Correct. Now, its union with what? Whichever you start with. So this again results me nothing. B results me only in itself, nothing else. Okay? Even though, let's follow the second step. Now, there is nothing left over. You see this B, you see intersection with the next sub-schema. What do you find? Phi. Anything common? No, nothing is common. It's phi. Once you have phi, closure of phi is nothing but than phi. Intersection this with ABC, ADE is what? Nothing but than phi. Union this with B is what? B. Ultimately, B results into what? Only B. So do you anywhere find from B to D? Not at all. We don't find it. Okay. If we don't find it, then what do you say finally? That B to D is lost. So out of the 4 functional dependencies, 2 are preserved and the 2 are lost. Which simply says, okay, if you are even not able to preserve a single functional dependency, that simply means that this decomposition is not following the dependency preservation property. One more thing I wanted to really say, mention, which I have not done in the previous videos. The 2 properties, the lossless join property is a mandatory property to be followed. Okay, it's a must condition. It is essential, necessary, must condition. We can never ever compromise on lossless join property, which simply states that if you are not able to join, or if you are joining and you are getting spurious tuple, that is not at all acceptable. But the property of dependency preservation if it is not satisfied 100%ly, it can be accepted up to a limit. Don't go anywhere. I have a lot of practice questions, as I always say. If you really want some, you can just ask me. I'll drop them in the comment section. If you have your own question which you are not able to get answer, or you want me to give you the answer, you can also write that question and I will be very happy to solve that question and explain you. Probably I can make a separate video for that. Okay, see you again very soon. Till then,